Greetings of peace, love, and harmony. I am Mandy Samosi, and today I have a kitten in my lap that's purring. So if you hear something low, that is her. And I'm trying to talk in a low voice because she kind of hates when I talk when she's purring. So I feel like a bad cat mom right now. But anyway, today's video is about how to let go of toxic relationships. She's trying to move. Toxic relationships. I've been in more than a few. And I honestly feel like I've probably caused a couple. And the longest toxic relationship I was a part of was the cult. I was in it for 7 years. And yeah, it's probably a good thing she's sitting here right now. It's helping me stay calm. But we're going to talk about what they are and why people stay. And I'm going to just talk about my personal things because that's one thing. I teach from experience. And there are some times where I research and I see other people's experience and I can say, okay, I see. So one of the things about toxic relationships and why to leave them is, first of all, being honest about how and why you got into it in the first place. Was it low self-esteem that attracted you to it? That had great benefits that you felt like you couldn't live without, which is rooted in low self-esteem? Did you allow them control some aspects of your finances or your well-being, which is also rooted in low self-esteem? Do you feel like you just need them and can't do without them, which is also rooted in low self-esteem? Do you see the pattern here? Where I'm getting at, everything or a lot of things that we have in this world, I always talk about things are either rooted in fear or love. Those are the only two emotions. Low self-esteem is those insecurities. Insecurities are rooted in fear. This fear of feeling like no one else is going to love me, no one else is going to care for me. It doesn't get any better than this. All fear-based. None of it makes sense. If we feel like our lives are meant to be in pain and chaos and in struggle, we're sadly mistaken. Life does get better and it can get better. One of the things for me is that I was a glutton for mental and emotional abuse. And there were times where the relationship wasn't even that way in the beginning, but I kind of sort of made it that way through my own lack of care for myself, my own low self-esteem, because somebody can notice that within you and they can see all the things that they can get away with and they'll start to do it. So a lot of times we say, the things that he's doing for her, he never did for me. It's because she's not allowing it. And you did. And so for me, I had to accept the fact that I allowed a lot of things to happen. And certain people just didn't allow those things to happen. And that's why those people are able to be better in those relationships than they were ever able to be with me. Because I didn't have the esteem enough to hold in those healthy boundaries that will allow for us to have a healthy relationship where I was getting just as much as I was giving. Okay? That's first and foremost. For me. I'm speaking on me. And another thing for me is I always felt like I had this incessant need to prove myself, especially when I was in the cult, more so. Prove myself to be worthy, prove myself of respect, prove myself that I knew all that I said that I knew, prove myself that I am powerful, because it wasn't a Christian cult. It was a spiritual based one off of Ifa and Sheshe. So like prove all of this knowing and power that I have that they were just using and taking advantage of. So boom, that's that. And I do want to say this, that when I talk about cults a lot, people oftentimes say, oh, I would never do that, or I could never do that. But when you're in a relationship that is abusive, emotionally or mentally and physically, you're in a cult already. It only takes two. 1-2 people. You can be in a 2-person cult. And a lot of relationships, a lot of families are cults. I want to pause there and allow you to chew on that a bit. By the way, this tea blend that I'm drinking, you can purchase it in my shop. The link is in the description. It is used to assist me in my mental health and my anxiety, regulating my emotions, and just being peace, being calm. Like I do not look like what I'm going through. I don't act like what I'm going through. And outside looking in, I'm going through a lot. But this tea is keeping me sane. And also I'm doing work in my own routines, PM routines, AM routines. That's also keeping me sane. But more into that later. So for me, the cults that we are a part of, that we're calling boyfriend, girlfriend relationships, they are escapable if we learn to love ourselves. If they are physically abusive, though, things can get a tad bit complicated in terms of leaving. Because, you know, I don't think we can say the D word, but you can become unalived. So you have to be careful in terms of leaving those situations and those circumstances. But for me, when it comes to mental and emotionally abusive relationships, they're just as difficult to leave because there's literally something in your brain that's just telling you, I can't, I have to. And those situations can become just as difficult to leave because it's way more difficult to fight yourself and to change internally than it can be to just, it's way more difficult than that. There are relationships that can become physical that necessarily don't have the mental and emotional aspects on them. And some people are fighters, so they fight back. And those ones that are purely mental and emotional, the fact that you have to root yourself up and fight yourself to tell yourself these things, again, it's way different than having to fight something that's external outside of you. So my biggest advice for those of us who struggle with being in mentally and emotionally abusive relationships is to deal with the low self-esteem, the insecurities that are rooted in fear, head on. Seek a therapist, seek help, be vulnerable with your friend groups if they too are not emotionally and mentally abusive. 988 is a phone number that you can use if you feel like you need someone to talk to, or you feel like you're at your wit's end. 988, okay? So now what, right? Now that we realize that these emotionally abusive patterns are not love, that just because it's toxic, it doesn't mean it's love. Because I know for me, I thought that because it was toxic, that meant that they loved me. They meant that they cared. because they were coming at me or doing this or that. Oh, you see how much they care? Etc., etc., etc. What do you do? So that's not a way of showing love and care. One of my main things is going to sound real aggravating to the person that may be listening, but it was in giving myself and learning to give myself the love and care that I was wanting in a relationship. For me, I'll use the quote for an example because that's my most recent one. It's like learning to, if I'm giving myself all these things, if I'm maintaining my own personal boundaries, when they're doing it and they're going against my boundaries, this don't feel good. So I need to go the other way, right? I need to not do this, right? So it's like, how do I just started giving myself the things that I wanted in relationships. And once you do that, you realize what other people give, it becomes a non-negotiable to not receive what you're giving to yourself. And if somebody else isn't giving you what you're giving to yourself, it's like, this ain't it for me. And that's what it is, because it's like you're never just in an emotionally abusive relationship full stop. You're only getting off again, only getting off again. And so for me, it was just bye. I was done with the game. Once I learned to love myself consistently, I had no reason to stay. I didn't care about the potential. I didn't care about the, well, it might be or might turn into this, so I must stay because I've given all of this time to reap the benefits. I have to stay. Screw the benefits. It's not worth it. In fact, they're never going to receive the benefits because of all of they've done. So accepting that is one thing. And I will do a more deep dive as you guys become more accustomed to the channel. I'm going to go into this stuff in detail. So like, comment, subscribe. Please, please, please. It helps the algorithm or whatever it is we're fighting up against when we're creating content. Peace.